On December 30, 2025, the world of gospel music lost one of its most influential voices. Richard Smallwood, the celebrated gospel composer, pianist, and choir leader, passed away at the age of 77 in Maryland. His death marked the end of a remarkable life, but not the end of his impact. Long after the final note fades, his music continues to live where it always has, in moments of grief, healing, worship, and hope. In the moments ahead, we will share what is currently known about his funeral and memorial plans, along with how the gospel community is preparing to honor his life. To understand why this loss feels so deeply personal for so many, you have to begin at the beginning. Richard Smallwood was born on November 30, 1948, in Atlanta, Georgia, and raised in Washington, D.C. From an early age. It was clear that music was not just a talent for him, it was a calling. He began playing the piano as a child and showed extraordinary musical intuition long before most children understand rhythm or melody. By the time he was 7 years old, he was already composing original pieces. His family recognized that gift early and treated it with care and intention. Music was woven into everyday life at home. His mother had a deep love for song and melody, while his father balanced long hours as a postal employee with his passion for singing in local vocal groups. Their encouragement created a safe space where talent could grow without pressure. Outside the home, Washington, D.C., in the 1950s and 1960s offered a powerful musical environment. Black churches pulsed with spirituals, freedom songs, and hope. Choirs became sanctuaries of healing, strength, and collective resistance, shaping Richard's musical soul. Richard absorbed all of it. He later attended Howard University, where he studied classical piano and vocal performance, immersing himself in rigorous musical training. Howard became far more than a place of study for him. It was an environment where discipline met devotion, where technical excellence was encouraged alongside spiritual purpose. Surrounded by gifted peers and mentors, he refined a sound that fused the precision of classical music with the emotional depth of gospel. Every note carried intention, and every arrangement reflected balance, structure without stiffness, passion without chaos. This distinctive fusion would later define his work and quietly reshape the direction of modern gospel music. Unlike many artists eager to pursue recognition, Richard did not rush toward fame after graduation. He chose a path rooted in service and community. He taught music in public schools, invested in young minds, directed church choirs, and served faithfully as a minister of music. These years were deeply formative. They grounded his calling, strengthened his leadership, and deepened his understanding of worship as more than performance. Through teaching and ministry, he learned how music could speak faith when words alone fell short. In the late 1970s, that preparation began to bear fruit. Richard formed the Richard Smallwood Singers, a group that would soon become one of the most respected names in gospel music. Their debut album, released in 1982, remained on Billboard's gospel charts for an extraordinary length of time, signaling that something powerful had entered the genre. Then came the songs that would define generations. I Love the Lord, Center of My Joy, Total Praise. These were not just compositions, they were testimonies. They spoke to exhaustion, doubt, grief, and endurance, and they spoke honestly. Richard Smallwood wrote gospel music that did not deny pain. Instead, it acknowledged suffering and then pointed listeners toward hope. His influence soon extended beyond church walls. When Whitney Houston recorded I Love the Lord for The Preacher's Wife soundtrack in 1996, Richard's music reached a global audience. The song became one of the most memorable moments of the film, introducing millions to his songwriting. His compositions were performed by choirs, orchestras, and artists across genres, bridging sacred and secular spaces without losing their spiritual core. Over his career, Richard Smallwood received numerous honors, including multiple Grammy nominations, Dove Awards, Stellar Awards, and induction into the Gospel Music Hall of Fame. Yet those who knew him often noted his humility. He consistently described music as ministry, not performance. For him, the goal was never applause, it was connection. But behind the acclaim was a man who knew darkness as well as light. In the early 1990s, Richard openly battled severe depression. At a time when mental health was rarely discussed in faith communities, he made the courageous decision to seek professional help. He spoke honestly about his struggles, refusing to hide behind success or spirituality. Out of that painful season came some of his most meaningful work, including the song Healing. For many listeners, Healing became a lifeline. People shared stories of playing it during chemotherapy treatments, after the loss of loved ones, or during their own mental health battles. Through his vulnerability, Richard Smallwood helped break stigma and reminded believers that faith and therapy can coexist. His honesty saved lives quietly, deeply, and without spectacle. As the years went on, his music continued to evolve. Live recordings captured the power of his performances, where choirs swelled, pianos soared, and worship felt almost tangible. Total Praise, released in the mid-1990s, became his most iconic work. Sung at funerals, weddings, memorials, and moments of national grief, the song transcended religious boundaries. Its gradual build, from gentle reflection to triumphant praise, mirrored the emotional journey of human faith itself. In his later years, Richard lived a quieter life in the Washington, D.C. area, remaining active in church music while mentoring younger artists. Health challenges eventually limited his public appearances. He faced kidney-related illness and other complications, choosing to keep much of his struggle private. Still, those close to him say his spirit remained strong and his devotion never faded. Richard Smallwood passed away peacefully on December 30, 2025, in Maryland, following complications related to kidney failure. His family confirmed his passing and asked for privacy while encouraging the public to celebrate the legacy he leaves behind. At the time of this writing, official funeral arrangements have not yet been publicly announced. Tributes poured in almost immediately. Gospel artists, journalists, faith leaders, and fans shared memories of how his music carried them through their hardest seasons. Social media filled with clips of total praise, testimonies of healing, and gratitude for a man whose work became the soundtrack of survival for so many. Richard Smallwood never married and had no publicly known children, but his family was vast. It stretched across churches, choirs, classrooms, hospital rooms, and quiet living spaces where someone pressed play and found strength to keep going. His legacy is not measured only in awards or chart rankings. It lives in the way his music meets people where they are. It lives in the courage he showed by telling the truth about mental health. It lives in the fusion of classical excellence and gospel soul that reshaped worship music forever. In a noisy world, Richard Smallwood offered clarity. In painful moments, he offered comfort. In uncertainty, he offered praise. His passing is not simply an ending. It is a reminder that faith can be honest, that music can heal, and that joy, even after long nights, still comes in the morning. At this moment, there are no official details regarding Richard Smallwood's funeral or memorial services. The family has requested privacy during this difficult time. As soon as any updates are available, they will be shared with the public.